Denia is the brand new character that just released in Wuthering Waves in version 3.3 Phase 2. And we're going to get all into all things Denia today, her kit, some demos, weapons, echoes, teams, all that stuff. Some vertical investment advice and future impact. So let's talk about it. Before we do, please remember to like the video, subscribe to the channel. If you found any of this information helpful at all, or even if you didn't, leave a comment. Let me know what you'd like to see done better. Thank you guys for supporting my small channel and helping me grow. I really do appreciate it. And if each one of you that clicks through the video does subscribe, man, it would do me just a world. It would make a world of difference. So thank you guys that have done that. And thank you guys that do that today. I appreciate it. All right. So let's get into Denia. I'm very excited about this character. I think she's going to shake things up quite a bit in the meta landscape and just in the Wuthering Waves community. So let's check it out. So what does Denia even do? First of all, well, she's a 5-star fusion rectifier user, and that is now the final for the Lahairoi region. The rectifier user was the only resonator type that we were missing, so we now have all 5. What is it? 5 different weapon types? Yeah, all 5 represented in the new region, which is cool. And we're finally getting 2 modes that were incomplete since they debuted in either 3.0 or 3.1. Finally are starting to feel like more cohesive team compositions. And that would be Fusion Burst and Tune Strain, as she does have a dual resonance mode and can function in either of those outfits, which is cool. Very cool. I like both of those teams. So that's exciting. And she is primarily a sub DPS and buffer. And of course, at higher investment levels, she can be a main DPS. So for weapons, Forged Dwarf Star, the SIG, is what I'm seeing and what I experienced. I don't have String Master, so I wasn't able to test her with that. But around a 20% drop off, it seems, without her SIG weapon. And with more optimal builds, you could probably get that number closer to 10, depending on what you're equipping her with. If it's a stat stick, the main thing is that you're missing out on some of the, and we can go into, let's look at what some of that is that you'd be missing. So
look, a laser sword. Behold.
This is what her weapon does. After inflicting Fusion Burst or Tune Strain shifting on the target, their Resonance Liberation damage bonus is increased by 36% for 5 seconds. While this effect lasts, after resonators in the team inflict Fusion Burst or Tune Strain shifting, their attack is increased by 24% for 15 seconds. That's a lot of buffing. That's a lot of buffing. Plus the 36% crit rate, really good, kind of standard for a limited 5-star weapon. But you're gonna have a hard time finding this stuff anywhere else. So, you know, and like one of the other options that I saw was the Lethian Elegy, Frolova's SIG weapon, which is on banner right now. So like, don't pull that one. Just pull this one. But if you already have it for some reason and aren't using it on Frolova, but Frolova really needs her SIG weapon. So I would not recommend taking that weapon off of Frolova to give to her. So I didn't even include it. I did not even include it. So anyways, yeah. So okay, yeah, that's just get her weapon if you can. this patch has quite a bit of rewards. It does give the free 10 pull on the weapon banner. Maybe you'll get lucky and get it early. But if you can afford to, get the weapon. I would say weapon over C1 for sure. S1. S1, S1, S1. You got it. You got this, buddy. Stop saying it. Okay. Echoes. So unfortunately, unlike Imith, who has a Sonata set that allows her to use either playstyle, and it just sort of, it's just, if you use Tune Rupture, it will give you the Tune Rupture set bonus. And if you use Fusion Burst, it will give you a little bonus for that. With her, with Denia, you do need to equip a different Sonata set if you are playing her with Luke or with Imith. So that's kind of annoying. Although echo building in this game is not so unreasonable, it can be forgiving at times. I was already able to build 2 moderately, okay sets so that I could demo the character. And I just got her like 2 hours ago, so I was able to do all that. But if you're F2P, you might not have as many resources stashed up, and so it may be harder to craft both of these. Although if you're F2P, you probably don't need both of these because you probably don't have Luke and Imith. They both ran in the same patch. So that said, the how you're going to build them though is going to be the same either way. And yeah, it's going to be crit stats on your 4 cost. I like to go crit rate because you do get crit damage from the character, from the talent skill, the skill tree. The increases in the left and right corners. Yeah, you get crit damage from that. So I prefer to go crit rate on the 4 cost. It makes it easier to get closer to that like 80, 90% threshold, which is what we're looking for. Fusion damage bonus. Spoiler, I do use ER sometimes on one of them. And for my initial set for her, I just threw ER on one of them. I am taking a little bit of a hit in damage because, but I'm okay with it for now because I want to have her liberation up 100% of the time. I don't want to worry about energy especially when I'm like demoing a character or when it's early on, So that's something that I can iron out later when I can get, but you do want at least like 125, 130 in the substats of ER, which is easily doable. You can hit that with 3 rolls probably. 1 cost is going to be attack percent, and the substats pretty typical for this type of character, right? Crit stats over ER, over liberation, over attack percentage, over flat attack. And those are going to be your top 5 stats to focus on. So that's cool. And we can go over and just show what the sets do also while we're on that. So chromatic foam basically gives you the fusion damage bonus, and then when she inflicts fusion burst, you will also she will gain the following effects: 10% fusion damage bonus for 15 seconds, and then casting an outro skill will grant the incoming resonator a 25% fusion damage bonus, and that is why you will want her second in the team so that she can pass that on to Imith through her outro skill. So that's a big deal. And then, of course, give the reminiscence Denia to her as the main echo, and you will summon Trickster to deal 272% fusion damage bonus to fusion damage to enemies. And within the next 15 seconds, casting an outro skill grants the incoming resonator 12% fusion damage bonus for 15 seconds. So that's you can funnel some additional fusion damage to Imeth as well with the teddy bear, which is cool. Well, let's look at the skill tree and what to focus on over there. So Denia's base form, which is the pink form, is used to generate particles. And basically, when generation is full, then you will enter the purple form, and that's where she'll deal most of her damage and create a little field where she will do a bunch of off-field damage and funnel a bunch of buffs on to Imeth. That's the long and short of it, and you can tell that they did finally listen. Maybe they did, or I don't know. Someone had to give them feedback that these things are getting too long. Because I remember I was thinking to myself, I knew how simple her rotation was going to be prior to release, and I was like, watch them give us the longest explanation ever when it can all really be summed up in a couple sentences. Anyways, the main things to focus on, Liberation's going to be the number one priority. Forte Circuit is going to be a very close second, with the inherent skills, of course, being very important. This top one's really good here. So while in entropy state, the entropy shift states, Denia obtains the following effects based on her resonance mode. For fusion bursts, it will grant all resonators in the team a 30% fusion damage bonus. And with Tune Strain, all resonators in the team gain 10 tune break boost. When a resonator in the team has an off-tune buildup rate over 100%, every 10% that runs over increases the resonator's tune break boost by 8 up to 40. So that's all well and good. Yeah. And then, so those are important. Resonance skill would be third. That's definitely worth leveling to 10. Normal, if you can level it to 10, is worth it, I'd say, but not as necessary. Intro can be left at 6 if you want. Make sure you do get all the crit damage increases. It does make building her quite a bit easier if you get those. So yeah. With that, let's demo the character, show her rotation. It is quite easy. It's literally like 5 seconds long. So we'll go over to End State Matrix and show a couple teams. So we're going to start with Chisa and immediately hit a skill, mark the target, build up her gauge as much as you can, and then hit ultimate to max out the gauge once you get about halfway. And then run this little chainsaw mode thingy. Fuck this dude up a little bit, and intro should have been ready, but wasn't for some reason. You'll do a normal and then a skill, and then you'll do the ultimate, and then a string of normals and max out the gauge, and then you'll hit skill twice, ultimate, and that's really it. So quite simple rotation. And then to Imeth, who's going to take up the majority of the field time. And I did, I found this to be one of the smoothest rotations, honestly. When you're fighting this stupid astronaut guy, nothing feels smooth, but once you get past him...
Sparks, ignite the world. Body limit unlocked. The savior rises. Lifeline. Dismantle. A pivotal moment.
And rinse and repeat, right?
This ends here. Connection 7. turn? Huh?
Yeah, she has like very little field time. It's crazy.
Radiant, no more. Whirling up. System integration complete. Hey. Evil's blade cleaves the night. Peril, purged in light. The world is mine to guard. Objective logged. Feather drones assembled. Come on! Stars, light up tomorrow. Cluster cannon ready. The savior rises. To beat the brink of an eye.
Definitely doing more damage though than
Nothingness.
than before Denia.
Break apart. Is it my turn? Please don't. Forgive me. Bit by bit. Get lost. Ashes to ashes. Whirling up. Starlight over the seas. Scorch through the void. Ha! Heroes on. Lights up. Blindlights checked. Fly high. Truth. Reach the cosmos. Light wings activated. Stars shine tonight.
Snuck in that last nuke, so. Yeah. Looks pretty good so far. The fusion burst and the increase from no Denia to Denia. So looks pretty good. And we'll have to see what it looks like if we trade out the sustain with Chisa for Lupa. So we'll see how that looks, but looking pretty good so far. So that's the Imith Chisa Fusion Burst team. And let's go ahead and demo the other two now that are going to be, these are going to be the three main teams that she has, right? So we'll do Luke first, and then we will come back and try the sustainless team with Lupa. So for this team, the main thing is make sure that you have changed her Sonata set to the Pact of the Neon Light Leap. Unfortunately, you can't just share an artifact or an Sonata set with Lene because of the Spectro damage bonus situation. This is going to, even though the Spectro damage, I mean, you're passing that to Luke, right? If anything. But your 3 cost on Lene are going to be Spectro damage bonus. So you're not going to be able to just swap them over. You could build a 4 cost and 2 1s or excuse me, you could build 2 3s and steal Lene's 4 and the 2 1s. I recommend just building. I built a quick second set for her. It's not perfect. It's not even close to perfect, but it's good enough to get the job done. And so, but the other thing is make sure that you do come over and that this is right. Okay. And we'll give the Toon Strain team a whirl and see how it looks here, replacing Lene. It makes me sad, though, in a way that we're replacing Lene on all these teams already. But, hey, you know, she's still going to be used in pretty much every endgame mode on some team because these other characters cannot be 2 places at once. So, anyways. So we're going to start with Mornier and going to pretty much do everything the way that you have already been doing it with Mornier, with Luke, and Denia is going to look the same as she did in the Fusion Burst rotation. So quite simple. So with Mornier, just make sure you get Up in the air. What are we doing there, Mornier? Okay. Skill. You can hit Echo. Liberation. And then heavy attack there. And Denia is ready. And then one attack. Okay. And see how that off-tune build-up rate's pretty nice. And then her liberation after one basic and a skill. And then you're going to drain that bar at the bottom there and then hit 2 skills. And then her liberation is ready. And that will create that field, which you want for Luke. And then she's going to be doing a ton of off-field damage while Luke, your on-fielder, can come out and just rip everybody to pieces, right?
I bestow eternal peace.
Luke is a very fun character to use, so I'm kind of excited that he gets a buff here with Denia. I think that's really exciting, actually.
Is it my turn? Please don't. Look at.
So again, yes, just drain that gauge, hit skill twice. And when the ultimate's glowing purple, that's when you know it's ready, and on to Luke.
Struggling only pains you more. Ash takes form. Faith exposed. Blink. And agony in my scalp.
And I don't think there's any question that like Fusion Burst is going to be her main play style, her more effective play style. I think the Toon Strain team is still probably going to lag a little bit behind that team.
Order executed. Is it my turn? Ah.
But we'll see.
Please don't. Pity me. Take a bite. Radiance, no more.
Immediate procedure. Balance ends here. Time to incise. Rot, resected. Entombed in daybreak. I deliver.
Merciful death. So not as good of a score there.
I need
It was a little sloppy. And it's not apples to apples, right? Comparing, you know, two entirely different teams. Imeth is the most meta DPS in the game, so buffing her even more with Denia, I think. I just don't. I don't see any way that Luke is going to catch up, even though he does get a buff too, and a nice buff. So that's that team. And we can also go ahead and try Lupa, right? When we do that, we again want to make sure that we do come in and
tarnishing victory's honor.
Behold.
change a couple things around here. So I need to get her Sonata set back.
One only.
Go ahead and equip that. Okay, so chromatic foam is equipped, and fusion burst back. Imeth, make sure she's in fusion burst mode. Cool. And let's see how this team works. I must confess, I have not even attempted this team. And again, this is no sustain. People are saying potentially the highest damage ceiling, but no sustain. Although Chisa's sustain is not really that amazing anyways. So with Lupa, you'd like to build up her gauge as quickly as possible. And then ultimate, and
Isn't my
Denia's ready.
Please don't.
And with that short field time from Denia, you can afford to take up the longer rotation with Lupa.
Bit by bit. Radiance, no more. Whirling up. A minor hiccup.
Great souls sing in harmony to the Savior's victory. Ha!
We have body damage. Heroes on. Lights up.
Blind lights, check.
Feather drones, assess smile.
Sparks, ignite the world.
Cannon out.
Cluster cannon ready.
The savior rises. Burn to dust.
Oh, that whiffed. Oh, that's so annoying.
Together we have. With Is it my turn? Ah.
Lost a lot of damage when she whiffs the intro skill. Unfortunately, sometimes you have no control over those things.
Darkness. Whirling up.
System integration complete.
Starlight over the seas.
Scorch through the void.
Light show of the finale. Fire.
Order confirmed.
Come on.
Stars, line up tomorrow. Light wings activated.
Stars shine tonight. Burn to dust. Lackluster. Glory is upon us. With me. Not so much with me. To victory. Break your Is it my turn? Stay. Please don't. Forgive me. Vanish. Ashes to ashes. Whirling up.
Nah, we're not gonna have time.
Leaves the night.
Herald, purged in light.
The world is mine to guard.
Objective, log.
So, and that could be user error there. But anyways, any of those teams will work, right? Any of those teams will do just fine, I think. As long as you are able to stay alive with Lupa, any of those teams will do just fine. And so, yeah, those are the three main teams there. Denia, Chisa, Imeth, Denia, Lupa, Imeth. Again, if you can survive. But you know, with all endgame basically giving you a 2-minute clock, with like Weewa, you're gonna have no problem surviving. You don't really die in Weewa. That's not really the point of it. It's not a survival thing. It's just a points thing. It's just an AOE points exhibition more than it is anything else. But frankly, TOA might be, you know, if you get to the final boss in TOA, the, you know, middle tower, floor 4, that could be an area where sustainability is a problem. And so maybe that's a time when you want to use Chisa. It just kind of depends on your play style, how good you are at the game, how good you are at dodging, and all that kind of stuff. But I, so far, with limited testing, have not had much of an issue with survival with Lupa. But man, I think my rotations have felt cleaner and smoother with Chisa, actually. So we'll see as time goes on what I find to be more difficult. So For vertical investment, her S1 I found to be kind of underwhelming, honestly. If you compare it to a couple of the other recent releases, Sigrika had a pretty good S1. Imeth had a really good S1. Hyuki had an okay S1. I think it was a little bit better than this. Really, this just provides a little bit of crit damage, which can make building her a little bit easier, even. And then it provides the interruption immunity, which we are accustomed to seeing at S1, but not anything else. So the S2 is very good, though, and so the S1 really is more of a stepping stone to the S2. The S2 is going to give you, it's going to double the off-tune buildup rate for the Tune Strain team comp and give you a 50% fusion damage bonus when applying, so whichever resonator applies the fusion damage bonus, or applies fusion burst, would get the fusion damage bonus. And it ignores 10% of enemy fusion res. The S3 is really where it's at, though. It's going to buff her second liberation, which is the main. That's her main source of damage. That's her, like, the most damage that she does comes from the second liberation, the purple one. And it's going to increase the stacks of those dark cores and void particles, which is her forte circuit. And it's going to instantly give her max stacks when she enters combat. And then finally, it'll buff her her fourth basic / skill that you do in the stagecraft form. That's right before that second ultimate. So it's her S2 and S3 are very good, but her S1 sucks. So if you're a Dolphin, I would say S2 or S3 are the best stopping point, but don't just go to S1. I would say it's not worth it. I would say you can get her weapon. Like, if you're just debating S1 or weapon, go S1. Or go weapon. If you are debating S2 or S1 and weapon, S2 could be the better increase, honestly, assuming you have cosmic ripples or something you can give her. Or if you just want to go all sequence nodes, you could go S3 and skip the weapon. But if you only have enough to go one, like either an S1 or a weapon, go weapon. Weapon is a bigger increase by a lot. The S1 does not do hardly anything for you. The interruption immunity with a lot of these characters is barely noticeable. And if you're already a good player, you probably don't need the interruption immunity. And so you're really only getting the 30% crit damage, which in the grand scheme of things isn't even really that much. That's like less than you get from a 4-cost Echo. If they give you like 60% crit damage, that would be another story. But 30, not enough. Not enough when you're talking about potentially putting money into the game, So anyways. Okay. So how bright is the future for Fusion Burst and for Denia? Because I do think Fusion Burst is Denia's main bread and butter right now. I don't think you're seeing that big of an increase between Lene and Denia on the Luke Herson teams. Now, maybe that'll change. Maybe there is some other way to play her where I could see a bigger jump in results, but I think Fusion Burst is where it's at for her right now. And I think that we're seeing that now Imeth Fusion Burst is neck and neck with Imeth Tune Rupture, which in the past, it was a distant second. So if you want to know, should you pull Denia? The answer is, if you have Imeth, yes, you should pull Denia. If you have Chisa, yes, you should pull Denia. If you have Luke, you could pull Denia, But if you already have Lene and Mornier, maybe it's not worth it. If you really just want to play a Fusion Burst team, pull Denia. If you really like Denia as a character, if you like her story, and you're just hoping that you're not pulling a dead character, just based on story and design alone, don't worry about that. This character looks like she is going to be squarely in the meta. She is a safe pull. So I think she's a recommended pull for a lot of people, but I don't think she is a must pull. I think she is certainly skippable for a lot of people, but I'm certainly excited about her. I'm happy I got her. You guys can let me know if you're excited for her, if you're getting her, if you got her, what you think so far, anything I missed, anything you want me to cover in the future. Thank you guys so much for watching the video. And please don't forget to like and subscribe. We will catch you on the next one. Adios.